priorities. So first proposed and top priority, and I'll start to my right with Councilman Jumaane Williams.
Thank you, and I have to leave after this. In terms of real estate, New York Community Change endorsed our campaign because I took their pledge not to take big real estate. This is critically important, and I'm going to try to do a closing at the same time. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have a diverse staff that looks like the community. The next thing we'll have to do is we have a few bills we want to put in for real estate. We want to put a bill I have now to cause a moratorium on most rezonings because I want to have a racial impact study after any rezoning is done. And I want to say this, because we've been endorsed by a lot of folks, and Mark Green, who you know did a lot of work against Jumaane, has endorsed our campaign. When I ran for lieutenant governor, I didn't get a whole bunch of support politically in Harlem, but we have more now, whether it's Al Taylor, Ernestine Bell Temple, Cadell Clay, who's here, Uptown Democratic Club, and William Allen, who's here as well. We have a lot of support. The most important support for me is the people in this room that come out and vote. When the New York Times endorsed this Thursday, they mentioned the work that I did particularly around policing and housing, because I had to push back on the speaker who was running here. And I have to make that clear. Because the rezonings that have occurred because there was something called mandatory inclusionary housing that the speaker unfortunately could not push back on the mayor. I was one of 3 council members who voted against it because I knew then what everybody knows now, that it is a failure. When the speaker came in and the first thing she wanted to do was put more police on the street, which she succeeded, I said that we have more work to do. So the Right to Know Act, which was the last 2 of my Community Safety Act that had to do with the stop and frisk, Inspector General, I know that work. When they cut a backroom deal, although there was threats and stuff, I had to push back against it. And we got a gutted deal that came through the council. You cannot run for public advocate if the track record shows that you fail when it's times of crisis. We are failing in housing because the city council, and I apologize for all council members and all electeds who fail in housing. We had the opportunity to do more and we didn't. I am fighting because I have been consistent as a tenant advocate, tenant organizer, and a council member. Lastly, there is diversity issues in the city. I'm not asking you to vote for me because I'm a black man. I don't want to lose those votes, so I take them. But I'm asking you to vote for me because of the work I've done. And on top of that, I'm a first-generation American. I have Tourette's syndrome, ADHD, you may see me shake, but I'm as cool as a fan. I made it through the public school system from preschool to master's. My mother raised 2 knuckleheaded children right here in New York City. Y'all have seen me putting my body on the line time and time again. Then I go back, I get 53 pieces of legislation passed. I was ranked the most productive council member out of 50. I have done this work, I will continue to do this work, public advocate or not, but I hope you help me out on Tuesday the 26th.
We're about the business of being educated voters, and part of our mission is to make sure that people have access directly to whoever's running for office, to hear their issues, to put a face to the paper, you know, so people can be properly guided. You know, the fact that all these candidates show up indicates how important Harlem is, and how important the House of Justice and Action Extra is, and how important Reverend Sharpton is.
Exactly.
And I wish I can replicate him, you know, to a lot of other places, because so many of our communities are suffering because we have not freed our own power. You know, we walk around with power that we don't exercise.
Exactly.
No, it's love.
Can we ask you a quick question real quick? Yes. Yes.
Okay,
My senior told me yesterday he was at Canaan. They was like,
spoke further, okay, further invigorated them. But what are the specifics? Moments you can let us know we can expect once you get into that office, because you're going to get it.
Well, I won't only get it if people come out and vote.
They're coming out.
For granted, it's a special election. We need everybody to come out. I want to continue the work that I've been doing on policing issues, on gun violence, on housing, which is the #1 issue. But we have to have somebody that has the ability to show the courage to do this, the activism, raise the issue, and legislative prowess to get it done. And so that's why we're running.
Okay, and as people begin with the money, because once folks get in office, we're the similar heart, the similar spirit for the people.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can be taken off course when they say, hey, you won't do this,
He gotta go. He gotta go.
Okay, you gotta go.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
That brother's going to get in. I'll make the prediction right now. He's going to be our public advocate. But it's up to us to have those exchanges with him. It keeps him aware of what our community needs. But out of an excellent field. That's one thing about New York politics. We get folks from all different backgrounds, all different work histories, and they're all here seemingly caring about the direction of the city. But if you ask me, Brother Williams has been walking lockstep with the people. Every time there's been an issue, that brother's been on the front line. This is a familiar face for New York politics. You want to give a little bit of background for our new viewers that may not be aware of how long and how deep your roots run here in New York?
Hi, so my name is Cordell Clear, and I started out as an activist fighting against lead poisoning in New York City. I later worked for Council Member Bill Perkins from 1997 to 2005 in the City Council, and then from 2006 until 2016 as his Chief of Staff in the State Senate. I've been a Democratic District Leader for over 14 years, formerly in the 68th Assembly District. Currently, I'm in the 70th Assembly District. I serve this community every day of my life. It's all I dream of, it's all I think about. I get great satisfaction about impacting change for my neighbors, my family, and my friends, and our people in a broader way of speaking. And right now, I'm actually up here advocating for other good candidates. I don't just run for myself. I am supportive of Jumaane Williams as our next public advocate. He's replacing a woman who I had great respect and admiration for, Tish James, who was a great public advocate and went on to make history, break the glass ceiling, and become the Attorney General of the state of New York. That created a vacancy in a very critical seat. The Office of Public Advocate is basically a watchdog office. Who is watching the city? Who is watching the mayor? Who is watching our agencies that are supposed to be taking care of business for us? That's the office of a public advocate. And they also have the power to introduce legislation. When Tish James was in that seat, she was able to introduce legislation that prohibited employers from asking you how much you got at your last job before hiring you. And that was important because a lot of us know when we go to get hired and someone is asking us, they should be hiring us based on our skills and our qualifications. And they should be paying us according to that, not according to what someone else paid us before. It might have been a different job. We may have gone to school since then. We have gained more experience. So that was a critical piece of legislation, and we need a public advocate who's focused on the concerns and the needs of the people, who's in touch with what's going on in our city and what our communities are suffering from, so that they can advocate for the things that are important to us.
Also, it's just to connect the dots, because the debate comes up about voting, should we vote, does it really change anything? Listen to what she just spoke of. Look at what's impacted. Those are things that impact your ability to earn a living. So it is important to get out, to vote for these people who are going to represent our interests. So any last minute things to make sure they register when they get to the voting place, what do they need to have in place to successfully cast their vote?
You just need to show up February 26th between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. and look for your name in the book. If it is not in the book and you are a registered voter, you insist on voting by affidavit, you make sure that you cast your vote. Don't stay home. Don't think it doesn't matter, because it really does matter. We have to make sure that we have somebody in place. And one other issue, you know, with Tish gone from city government, we don't have any black people in the leadership positions of city government. We need to make sure that we're at the table, people. And we have people who are qualified. They're not just black, but they're qualified, and they have experience, and they have the interests of our community at heart.
So without any further ado, please come out, support that good brother Williams. He's been with and for the people for the duration of his career.
Yes.
Jumaane Williams, yes.
He has a record. He didn't just appear. He's been here.
Make sure you go out there and vote February 26th. The polls are definitely open, 6 o'clock in the morning to 9 in the evening. Make sure you vote. Special election, public advocate race.
What are the odds? Do you think that we are going to have Jumaane in office?
Yes, I do. You know why? Because you are going to go out and vote for him on Tuesday. I am going to vote for him on Tuesday. She's going to vote for him on Tuesday. That's why we are going to have Jumaane Williams as our next public advocate.
Ashe.
And you heard